Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Media Boat Podcast, your weekly adventures where we talk about movies, TV, music, and video game. Not necessarily in that order. My name is Mike. His name is Matt.
My name is Matt. His name is Mike. Thank you for joining us on the Media Boat Podcast on this fine August the 13th, 2024. Today is episode 448. We are tumbling towards 450 here. Can you believe it? Yeah.
And tumbling, we shall continue
Tumble, tumble, tumble.
as we get into today's episode. So,
Indeed.
got a lot to talk about, got a lot of thoughts everywhere. So we'll start with the music section. Start the music section with the Billboard. Start the Billboard with the Hot 100. And the hottest song in the land is a bar song, Tipsy by Shaboozey. At 2, I Had Some Help by Post Malone, featuring Morgan Wallen. At 3, Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar. Coming in at 4 is Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter. And rounding out your top 5, $1 Million Baby by one Tommy Richmond.
No movement again this week.
Yep. If you had to take a guess, these are your top 5 songs of the summer.
Looks like it.
As for your Billboard chart, your Billboard 200, your albums chart, at number 1 is The Tortured Poets Department by one Taylor Swift. Coming at 2 is Vultures 2 by Kanye West and Ty Dolla $ign. At 3, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess by Chappell Roan. Coming in at 4, One Thing at a Time by Morgan Wallen. And rounding out your top 5, Hit Me Hard and Soft by Billie Eilish.
So, a couple notes about this. This is actually a notable week. Despite putting out way too many different versions of the Tortured Poets Department, Taylor actually had a method to her madness this week. You will note that Kanye West is at number 2. This is important, believe it or not. This is the first time in 19 years since the release of Kanye's second record, Late Registration, that his album has not debuted at number 1. Taylor officially ended his streak of number 1 records.
So she did have the best album of all time.
I Now I'm not condoning what she's doing with the re-release,
The
re-release,
many
re-release.
re-releases.
However, this time she did use her powers for good. So I will give her a break this 1 week. However, from here on out, just stop.
Because
Please.
we know that she's done this for at least one other person on this top 5 list.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
yes, I mean, there's also very little talking and hullabaloo about Vultures 2 being released. Kind of a surprise draw, which
it was.
turns out didn't work for Kanye West's favor.
But what's not a surprise is it probably sucks.
I wouldn't know because 100 gigs will probably be on here next week.
I don't think that counts. I don't think that's an official Drake release. So
Is it
I wouldn't
not?
I wouldn't bet on it. No.
All right.
But anyway.
Well, it's not in. Well, we'll find out as we get into new releases. Starting with In the Shadow of the Holy Mountain by Blind Pilot.
I wouldn't want a blind pilot personally. I take that back. I'm sure they have ways around that, but I don't know.
You kind of need eyes to see
It
where you're
certainly
flying.
helps. I would think. Maybe.
Um, I don't know. Depends if you believe the old adage that autopilot is everything.
I don't know. We'll have to ask our friend who knows about
Is a pilot.
planes. Yeah,
Yes.
what he thinks.
Yes, lots of air. I know what you're talking about.
Anyway.
We also have Forever. Or is it Forever?
Yeah, maybe.
Just big caps of Forever by Charlie Bliss. Yes,
Yes.
That Charlie Bliss?
Yes, they're back. This is their first record in like 5 or 6 years. So yeah, it's I'll be checking this out.
All right. I feel like this next pairing could go either forwards or backwards because we have Popular Monster by Falling in Reverse. Or is
Yes.
it Falling in Reverse by Popular Monster?
No, Falling in Reverse is the band. I've heard of that band. I don't know if I've ever heard them, but they exist.
I don't know. I like it when you have a band and an album title that can go either way and you're not sure which is which.
There.
But we also have Paradise State of Mind by Foster the People.
Yeah.
Yep, those fostering people. Obsessed by Morgan Wade.
Yeah, I'll be checking this out. I've listened to a few of the singles off of this record, and how come nobody told me that Morgan Wade like it rules? Like you guys have been to several country festivals. I'm sure you've seen her, and you didn't tell me that she's cool.
No, probably got lost in the other Morgan
Yeah, exactly.
aspect.
Get her confused with Morgan Wallen. They're both Morgans, but very different vibe. Just very different thing. Anyway.
Yep. We also have Champion by Palm Poco.
Mhm.
Long Way Home by Ray LaMontagne. And lastly, a little release called F1 Trillion by a artist called Post Malone.
Yes, this is the long-awaited Post Malone country record. This is the big release of the week. I guess we'll listen to this. I don't know. I'm not super jazzed about it, especially since I know Morgan Wallen is at least on one of the tracks. But I am curious, I will say.
I am curious too, especially since he has been hyping it up. And we'll see what happens with country
Yeah,
Post Malone.
country Post Malone.
All right, let's get to some music news. And no, this is not a depressing story. Well, it
It
might
is.
be if you were excited to see Taylor Swift.
Also, it is if you don't want radicals like potentially endangering your concert. M. Night Shyamalan's Trap in theater right now.
Yes. I don't think he was a
I
radical. I think he's
I
a
shouldn't laugh at this. This is not a laughing story.
vigilante.
Anyways,
Yes. Anyways, uh, Taylor Swift is supposed to be, or was supposed to be, in Vienna this past week,
yes.
but those shows were canceled on Wednesday after two teenagers were initially arrested, followed a few days later by a third individual in an ISIS connected terrorist plot against her upcoming concerts. In a post from Austrian concert promoter Barracuda Music, the organizer wrote, quote, Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour, Vienna shows are canceled due to government officials' confirmation of a planned terrorist attack. With information from government officials of a planned terrorist attack at Ernst Happel Stadium, we have no choice but to cancel the three scheduled shows for everyone's safety. Close quote. Now, according to international reports, the suspects arrested on Tuesday included a 19-year-old who pledged his allegiance to ISIS and was living with his parents in the town of Ternitz, as well as a 17-year-old. Both were arrested after police raided the 19-year-old's home and found various chemicals and substances, as well as Islamic State group and Al Qaeda material at the 17-year-old's home. Residents of Ternitz were allegedly evacuated and roads were closed during the raid.
Yeah. So yeah, it's unfortunate that an event as just that people have been waiting a long time for and very excited about, and that has gone without issue in several different locations worldwide, like the Eras Tour. It's unfortunate that there can just be a few radicalized young men that can ruin everything and have the whole thing shut down. Like you should be able to go to a concert without worrying that there's going to be an explosive device or there's going to be a shooting or et cetera, et cetera. Like you should be able to go to a concert and not have to worry about that kind of thing. And yet we keep getting stories like this. Just what 2 days, two weeks ago, we did the story about the people who were threatening the Kansas City Chiefs players at the concert.
Hmm.
And so yeah, it's just this keeps happening like worldwide, and it's disappointing. It's depressing. And yeah, it also sucks that some people didn't get to see Taylor Swift, but I feel like that is not the story here.
Yes, where that lies is like probably fifth or sixth down on
Yeah.
the list
Oh yeah, absolutely.
compared to other stuff.
So yeah, this just goes to show you like our recurring story for the last like 5 years on this show has been we need to make sure that concerts are a safe place to go. Like,
Hmm.
period. Like whatever we can do to increase security at concerts, I think is just a good idea in general.
Yes, but this is actually can be seen as a positive that law enforcement
Yeah, it worked.
stepped in.
They
It
got him.
worked. They
Yeah.
they stopped a potentially devastating attack.
It makes me wonder if this could be as quickly dealt with in the US, and I have my doubts. But
Does not say that this was Interpol, but
no, but
would not be surprised.
yeah, the band or the actual
No,
Interpol.
no, 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 no. The actual Interpol, not the band, even though we are in Vienna.
I actually don't know. Are they British? No, I think they're American. I think they're from New York City. But whatever. Anyways.
Easy. Anyways, I'm kind of glad we had this story and not Travis Scott's arrest.
Well, that wasn't my alternate story. My alternate story was just real briefly as a PSA for people who didn't hear about this. MTV is moving the VMAs back one day so that way they're no longer the same night as the presidential debate.
Mm.
Originally, they had announced that when they announced the debate for September 10th, it just so happened that that was the day that the VMAs were supposed to air. MTV has moved them to the 11th, the following Wednesday, the day after, to avoid the being at the same time. So you won't have to picture in picture uh, Chapel Roan's performance and Kamala Harris's performance at the same time anymore. You can enjoy them separate nights.
Well, thank you, because the overlap there is historic.
Yeah, indeed. Oh yeah, and they also confirmed, like I said, Chapel Roan and Sabrina Carpenter are confirmed to perform at the VMAs. So two of the ones that people most wanted to see will be there.
Does she perform espresso?
I'm sure she'll perform both Espresso and Please, Please, Please. What does Chapel Roan do? Who knows?
We'll have to find out in September, which is, wow, that's a month away.
It's not the way. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Uh, so I saw this album on my
Yes.
new releases. I
Yes.
considered listening to it,
Yes.
but I didn't. How
Okay.
wrong was I?
Very wrong. Let's talk about it. Biba Doobie, an artist who is fun to say and also fun to listen to, um, is back with their new record, This Is How Tomorrow Moves. If she sounds vaguely familiar, you may recall that I talked about her last record, Beatopia, a few years ago when it came out. It was even in my top five that year. I believe it was like number two or three. It was pretty high.
Mhm.
And I really, really liked that record. And I'm happy to say that this one is almost just as good. I say almost. I have my reservations about a few of the tracks. I don't think it's as consistent as Beatopia was. However, there are some high highs on this thing, and Biba Doobie is still remains one of my favorites in the game right now. So, a couple notes about this release. This is working with her same co-producer slash guitarist that she was worked with for the Beatopia record. Except on top of that, she's also enlisted pop guru Rick Rubin to do the production on this record as well. This is kind of a tradition of sorts for pop bands. Eventually, all of them work with Rick Rubin at some point in their career. And yeah, Beepa Doobie does it with her third record, which is pretty fast. Um, you don't necessarily get a whole lot of that Rubin magic here. I think that this is a little stripped back from when he takes over records in a lot of cases. So that's a good thing in general. The last time we talked about one of his productions on this podcast was when he produced Kesha's Gag Order a couple of years ago, and wasn't quite a fan of some of the choices made on that record.
It
Um,
is kind of fun to see how Rick Rubin's been around for 25 years.
and longer
And
than that, 35,
20,
like
30.
it's going on 35, like when he used to work with
Wait,
like Beastie
you
Boys and such.
I was gonna say, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
This is 2025,
Oh, yeah, no, dude,
2024.
30 years.
Yeah, 30 years.
The man is the guy you go to, has been the guy you go to for decades, consistently. But yeah, I think a lot of the songs here are great additions to our catalog. There are some real high highs, some of the best songs of the year. This is definitely going to rank high, probably in my top five this year. I really enjoy it. It's and to explain what she does is a little bit difficult. She's a pop musician first and foremost, but she, kind of like Olivia Rodrigo, is very in debt to the 90s. There's a lot of 90s grunge influence on her work, but also she has this flip side. For every grungy song, she also has kind of a very calm, kind of sweet, almost twee kind of vibe. A point of reference is there's a couple songs on here that sound a little bit like Faye Webster or that Clairo record that came out a couple of weeks ago. There's some horns, there's some strings, there's a piano ballad on here. I think what she learned from the process of the last record, Utopia, is that she can experiment with all sorts of kinds of sounds and still sound like herself. So yeah, this is definitely a recommend. I had a really good time with it. It will rank highly on my personal list. And yeah, if you've ever liked one of her songs before, this is a no-brainer.
I mean, we'll see because you got to start making those lists in
I
three
know.
months.
We got 3 months. I'm already starting to figure out, like, narrow stuff down. I don't think Taylor's gonna make it, is what I'm gonna say.
Would- I mean, you said that when it first
Yeah,
came out that he was probably not going to make it just because it is a very stacked year of
sorry, Taylor.
female artists, just
Yeah.
in
Oh,
particular.
they were even talking about how the album of the year Grammy might involve zero men this year, just
Hmm.
with how it's gone, and that will be a first if that happens. I think it might.
I mean, yeah, possibly John Batiste kind of ruined that last year.
Yeah, he really threw a wrench in that. Thankfully, I don't believe he's eligible for anything this time, so we'll have a Batiste-free Grammys. Well, no, he'll show up, but he won't be nominated for album of the year.
Yes. I actually did take your advice and listened to that Maren Morris EP intermission.
Good, right?
Yeah, I actually
Yeah,
liked it. I liked what
it's
she was
really
doing
good.
in there. It's really good. It's really short too, so I was able to listen to it twice without like thinking like,
Nice.
oh wow, like this is actually really good, really good.
Honestly,
I
if we,
like I don't
yeah.
like the pivot away from country just personally, but what she does here, I actually like what she's doing.
Yeah, if we did like EPs in our roundups at the end, this might make it. It's pretty good.
Hey, it's our list. We do whatever the hell we want with it.
We can anyway.
Anyways, let's move on ahead into video games where we got
Yes.
new releases, starting with Arco, where you can go pump your gas.
No, it's not the gas station.
Arco, to where the pets go. No, to where the R's go. Let's
Sure.
go to the PC and the Switch. We have Cricket, colon, Jay's really peculiar game for everything. Wide release. You got it. You can play this really peculiar game.
I don't know if it's cricket the sport or if there's a cricket like a cricket the bug playing a weird game.
I feel like that's why you have to have the colon, and that's called Cricket Jays or Jay's Cricket.
Yeah, maybe. I
Uh,
don't know.
there's also Farewell North for the PC,
I know.
Xbox Series X, and the Switch. Hunt, colon, Showdown, 1896 for the PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X. Sam and Max, colon, The Devil's Playhouse Remastered. But it's for the PC, PS4, Xbox One, and the Switch.
Yes, remastered. That was a Telltale adventure game that was released in the 3060 era. So yeah,
Mhm.
been a while.
There's also Leximan for the PC. We have Tina, colon, Bridge of Spirits.
Yes.
Now, you're not hearing that wrong. It is that Kina game, but this time it's out of the PlayStation arsenal and going to Xbox Series X and Xbox One.
Yes, so everybody who missed it on PlayStation, who owns Xboxes, can finally try this. I know that this was. Did you play all of this?
Yes,
Okay,
I platinum this game. I believe it was on my end of the year list as well.
I think so. Yeah.
First time like big AAA. Well, I can't call it a AAA game if it's out like an indie studio, but it's a big, wide game that I absolutely fell in love with, and I want to say they got enough going for it to develop a sequel as well.
I believe so. And hey, they'll make even more money now with it on multi-platforms. So there you go.
Yep. And speaking of sequels, make room on your console because it's that time of the year again. Madden NFL 25 for the PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X.
Make sure you're buying the correct Madden 25.
Yep. There is a PS4 version, but you can easily get the PS5 version too with that purchase. Because
There
this
you
is
go.
the first time that it's gone fully in the next current gen. Can't call it next gen, the current gen
Correct. Yeah.
console.
Yes. Early word about this seems like it's like every other Madden release, kind of buggy up front. So if you are concerned about bugs, maybe wait a week.
Well, we'll be talking about that in just a minute.
Yes.
But first, we gotta get to video game news,
Yes.
and we're going with one of Valve's latest games.
Well, it's interesting that you lead with that because Valve doesn't release that many games. Now, Valve owns Steam, which has a lot of games on it. But Valve themselves, as a game developer, it's notable when they release video games. The last new franchise they launched was Dota 2, and that's technically a sequel to a game that they didn't originally make. So if you want to go even further back, then like Portal, like it's very
Yeah,
rare. They're not a studio that makes new video games. The last new release was that VR Half-Life game, Half-Life Alex.
Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you say a game developed by Valve, that's a big deal. However, didn't end up working out, I think, that the way they wished it did this time.
So Valve's latest game is currently one of Steam's most popular titles. The game in question is a hero shooter called Deadlock, which leaked in May when videos and details were shared online following the launch of a private playtest. Valve has significantly ramped up playtesting for the game in August, to the extent that Deadlock, the game, is currently among the top 100 games played on Steam. According to figures from SteamDB, Deadlock had an all-time peak of 18,000 concurrent players on August 12th. Before this month, Deadlock's peak concurrent player count was just shy or just north of 2,500. The recent player count spike may suggest an official reveal for Deadlock isn't far off.
So, a couple notes about this. Why are we talking about this, you ask? Because
Like you said,
today,
Valve doesn't make any games anymore.
yeah, well, that's the first reason. But the other reason is because today, The Verge ran a story about Deadlocked, and I want to reiterate, Deadlock has not been properly announced. Valve has not admitted that it's in development. Prior to this story going up today, the only people that knew about Deadlock were the people who invited to the beta to play it. It's a big deal when a publishing outlet does this because it's kind of not what the studio wants you to do. Most publishers will get upset at you at the outlet if you basically break an unofficial NDA. Now, they've made it clear they did not sign any contracts. They were not under an official NDA here. In fact, people uploaded footage that when you start the game, there's a dialogue box that pops up that says, hey, maybe don't tell anybody about this, but then you press OK and it disappears. It's not like you're signing anything. They're not identifying you in like a lineup so they can sue you later. That's not what this is. And so in the Verge story, they reiterated that like, yeah, we're telling people about this because there's nothing saying that we can't. Well, this has started a little bit of a storm on the internet. Some people are angry at The Verge for running the story, saying that, oh, this is such a like a such disrespect towards Valve. They wanted to release like and announce this proper. This is going to take the fizzle out of their like announcement plans. And then you have people getting mad at Valve for like being secretive. It's like people are mad about being mad, basically. But anyway, I thought this was interesting because it's not every day that you see this. And also, it's not every day that Valve releases a new game. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering, it's not just a hero shooter either. Deadlock is a hero shooter, think Overwatch,
Hmm.
plus a MOBA, think Dota or
Right.
League. The MOBA stuff is happening while you're doing the shooter stuff. You have to do both.
So here's where I rolled my eyes so far at everyone complaining about this leak that it actually ends up generating electricity for the town of Switzerland.
The town?
Yeah,
Not the
smaller
entire
than Los
country, just
Angeles.
one town.
Yeah, it's smaller than Los Angeles, so everything's smaller than that as a town. That's how I
Sure.
rank my geographical locations.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't do that? Uh, anyways, if it wasn't The Verge who was going to leak this, it would have been another outlet
Right.
or a blog or a tech blog or whatever. Just it would have gotten out because, like you said, they didn't sign an NDA. It was just, hey, this is in development. This is so they're still working on stuff. Please don't tell anyone. Uh, so yeah, it's gonna get out. Like if we do that, if it's not like officially in documents, you could be sued,
Yeah.
or you're not officially a part of the play testing
Yeah.
part of Valve, then yes, stuff like this is gonna get out.
Yeah. With
Uh,
18,000 people playing this, one of them
yes.
was going to tell a friend.
Well, yes, but here's the other thing though. It's available on Steam. And
Right.
if it's not code locked, it means anyone can go in there and find it and play it. They're I don't know if they were just trying to do like a quiet like rollout, be like, hey, let's just put this up there. We'll not connect it to us. We won't put any publicity, but
Yeah.
we need a way to make sure that it runs on Steam
Yeah.
with players.
I imagine it was something like that because it's kind of a double-edged sword right now when it comes to video game release, like announcements. Because if you're making a game that's going to be live and on the internet and require servers and all that stuff, you can't announce it too far in advance because then everybody's like, well, where's the game? But then you need to thread a needle because you have to show something that's working bug free. And the only way to do that is by play testing it. But you have to use real people to do that. And so it's this like again, it's this double-edged sword where it's like, how do you do that right in the middle where it's just secretive enough that nobody knows about it, but also bug free enough where it doesn't look like a mess when you show gameplay?
Or you take the EA approach where you announce it, say you're doing alpha 2 weeks later, and because you're calling it alpha, it's okay if it's buggy because it's an alpha
I
and it's
mean,
EA. Alpha, it's in EA's go hand in hand with bugs. They just
I'm,
happen to do that.
ostensibly that's what this is. This
Yes.
version of Deadlock that they're playing is a pre-release version, obviously. But yeah, anyway, I'm sure Valve is still going to announce this. I just don't know if their plans are going to be as big as
Now,
they thought they were going to be.
pre-released or early access, because we also see what happens with
Yeah.
Hades and Hades 2 more
Yeah.
recently, of it being early access and being praised, but also buggy because early access.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough game. Announcing video games. Should it be as tough as it is? I don't know. Probably not, but it is. And yeah. So I don't know. Also, I will never play Deadlock. Deadlock's not for me.
I know it's not for you, and if it's available on Valve or on Steam,
Seeing you.
it won't be for me either.
I gotta get you a computer. I got one.
Yeah, no, but I don't have time to play it because
I know.
I have been filling my time with Madden 25.
Yes. But before
Well,
we talk about that, there's a real brief extra feel good story of the week for you.
yes, because I thought this was going to be our main story of the
I
week.
thought so too until today.
Yes. So, Hi-Fi Rush, one of our favorite games
Yeah.
by Studio Tango Gameworks, Well, we had talked about a couple of weeks ago that Microsoft, after purchasing them through acquisition, uh, was going to shutter the studio.
Mm.
Well, that's no longer the case because Tango Gameworks has been acquired by Krafton and will remain open. For those of you who don't know who Krafton is, you might recognize one of their games that they've put out. Four little letters, PUBG.
Yes. They're the Korean, I believe, studio
Yes.
that runs PUBG and a couple other games. Do they all are they also Warframe? I don't remember. Anyways,
They might be
I
Warframe.
don't remember. Anyway, but yeah, and so they've decided they're going to take on Tango and the IP for Hi-Fi Rush. Now they will do have to do some rehiring of people who lost their jobs. I don't think they get everybody. That's not how the transaction works, especially
Mhm.
since the studio already closed. But yeah, they're going to revive all of that. They made a special deal with Microsoft where they get the Hi-Fi Rush IP. So this is just good news all around. Like these people get to continue working. Tango as an entity gets to continue to exist. And there could be another Hi-Fi Rush in development, which is exciting.
Yes, that's what the rush is.
Yes, yes,
The
that's the
rush is
rush.
excitement. It's a
Mhm.
rush.
Mhm.
All right.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
like I said, I thought that was going to be our story.
yeah,
But all
there's
right,
just too much happening.
especially where I am been streaming a lot, too much happening. If you've been following us on twitch.tv/MediaBoat, if you're following, subscribing, whatever they call themselves over there, I'm not really sure. And know when we go live, you'll be seeing that I have been playing a lot of College Football 25, thanks to EA's uh, bundle. I also purchased Madden 25 with it and
Yes.
got me early access to it. So I've been playing that. And I realized I found where personally my defining line was with the two games. For a single player adventure mode, where I just want to control myself or basically I want to play as someone awesome, I want to do college football
Mhm.
and go through my journey as a college player. But with Madden and Madden 25, I feel for me, it's more of a team sport. So I've been doing the Madden Ultimate Team, going to be doing the franchise mode there, and it's more of a team effort rather than an individual player. I think that's where I found my dividing line is
Mhm.
between these two games. It
That makes
can vary
sense.
between other people, so your mileage may vary. It is a Madden game, but it is new. It is the newest version off the newest engine. I've only been into the Madden Ultimate Team version last night since it launched, and yeah, I just like playing it and playing it between the difference between the college and the pro level. There is a very distinct difference in playing between the college and the pros. Uh, you have to take a lot more snap decisions. You have to throw the ball a lot more. But then again, the players are also a lot better in which you can make those kind of pass attempts. You don't have to be wide open and then potentially drop it as well. But yeah, going through the Madden Ultimate Team right now, just because there's a lot of individual challenges that are time based. Uh, so like if you like, I think the first like preseason one they have is these next 10 days up to the 23rd. So after that, like that challenge goes away. You can't get those
Mhm.
players anymore.
Right.
So kind of working on that before I get into the other rest of the game. But I feel like that's where my dividing line is when playing this is that I'm gonna be doing franchise mode. I'm gonna be doing like the head coach version of this. Because I don't because with Madden 25, the playbook's not limited to me,
Right.
whereas it is in college. And I can understand that because in the college aspect, you are very limited because you are a college player. But in the pros, you're expected to walk in and know the playbook right off the back, and know TAs in training camp going into the season. So I like that difference in the play styles. Like it keeps it very distinct between the two brands, but at the same time, it allows you to, you know, play your own way between the two different games. So I know that yes, you can do franchise mode in college football. You can do uh Road to the Show, not Road to the Show, um, Road to Glory, whatever it is, in Madden 25, create a player, someone awesome. So I will be doing all of that. but I
Yeah.
do like that it's very distinct for me right now, and
No,
there's not a
that's
whole lot of
interesting.
matchup.
Do you think so much of that is because of the way we think about the difference between college football and professional football? Like, yeah, sure, we celebrate individual NFL players. That's true. But I feel like we celebrate individual college football players a little bit more than we do professionals,
See,
beyond Tom
that
Brady and Peyton Manning.
yes, that is true, which is why it may sound very weird that it's flipped for me when playing
Yeah.
these games
Yeah, because you
because
want
I
to,
don't. But maybe it's just that's just it because like I don't have any loyalty to a college team or a college
yeah,
town
that might
that
be part of it.
I'm more loyal to myself than, especially since I can go into the transfer portal at the end of a season and just switch teams and not
Right.
care. Whereas with Madden, like I'm invested in one of 32 teams instead of one of 128 teams.
Yeah.
I'm invested in my hometown team or my AFC team, my NFC team, that I want to see the team succeed in Madden, whereas in college, I want to see myself succeed.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, it's interesting though. Like I think that there's a lot of interesting things to dig into socio like social stuff going on in sports games. That's
Yeah,
interesting to me. But yeah, anyway. Also,
yeah.
just
And
talking about this is making me want to play like go back to the show.
go back to the show.
Yeah, and
Go to
like
lore.
play a sports game because it's been a
It,
while since I played the show, and I'm like now thinking about it, like, oh, I should start a franchise mode again.
yeah,
Except I'm so
but
bad at batting. I am so bad at batting.
that's okay. Everyone is bad at batting. Even professional baseball players are
That's
bad at
true.
batting.
That is
You
true.
only have to hit the ball 3 out of 10 times to be considered amazing at
Yeah,
baseball.
you're right. You're right. But I can't tell balls and strikes for shit is the
It's
thing.
okay. Sometimes umpires in real life can't
That's
call
true.
balls and strikes for shit.
That is true. I would just
Hell,
play a
we
very
talked about
realistic,
earlier this year about Angel
I know.
Hernandez, who got kicked out of the league because he could call balls and strikes for shit.
You're right. No, you're right. Okay. Maybe I'll try it again. I
It's
don't
not
know.
just you.
I just need to practice at the batting because I'm so bad at it. But
Yeah, anyways,
anyway.
yeah, I just want to say that even though that's my experience of
Yeah.
individual for college and team for NFL,
You
your
still get all of it.
experience,
Yeah.
yeah, you still get
Right.
all of it, but your experience individually might be flipped. You might have
Yeah.
love of a college team and you want to see your college team just rake in
Right.
national title after national title, whereas in Madden, you want your player to make all the money.
Now, the interesting question will be for us specifically at this podcast, which one ends up being in your top five? Now, don't tell me now what you think it might be, but I have my thoughts about what might.
And if you've listened to this podcast long enough, you may know what I may end up doing.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyways, all right, let's move on.
Yes, let's move on then into the sports section.
Speaking of sports,
Yeah, speaking of sports, the Olympics
yes, they wrapped
happened.
up. They're done. They're over.
Yep. And now that we are 2 days past the official ending closing ceremonies, we
Yep.
have our official medal count.
Yes.
Uh, Tied at the top, USA and China with 40 gold medals apiece. Coming in at third is Japan at 20, with Australia in fourth at 18, and hometown France at 16. And yes, I know how big France is. It's not a town, but they're still the hometown.
It's towns and you're just getting towns and
Towns
countries.
and villages and countries all mixed together. Yes. Like I said, it's bigger than LA. I think it's small.
We'll get to
Speaking
LA
of
in just a
bigger
moment.
than LA, we'll get there. Total medal count, USA dominated extremely by 126 total medals. Now, um, I think we should talk about some Olympic moments
Yes,
because we watched a lot
a lot.
of. I mean, I think I've like we were going. I was going through the list on the final day. And I was like, okay, thanks to Gold Zone,
Gold
which
Zone.
will, by the way, just spoilers, end up on my list somewhere at the end of the year.
I was also at that thought. It's like, oh, is Gold Zone going to be our show of the year? It
I
might
don't know if it's gonna be our
be.
show of the year, but it's
Well,
definitely gonna be on my list somewhere.
Gold Zone versus the Bear in our final matchup.
But yeah, because I watched a shit ton of Gold Zone, that I was ended up watching at least a portion of every single Olympic event
Mhm,
held in France, whether it was a gold medal match, or a like a qualifier or a quarterfinal, just whatever. Just ended up watching every single event. The only one that I missed out watching live was the sport climbing,
mhm.
but I ended up going back and watching those matches, and oh my God, that was amazing to watch. And I feel like that's what I could say for a lot of these games, a lot of these moments was, oh my God, that was amazing to watch. And oh my God, that gold medal match was amazing to watch.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just a running event for me watching these games.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know. Like, how much did you end up watching?
Quite a lot. Not as much as I think we went in thinking that we would because of just, again, like I said last week, the timing with the time zone difference was a little off of our normal schedule. I was either working or Christine was working, and when we came home to like sit into prime time, we didn't want to watch the prime time stuff because it's so edited. We would rather watch it live or if we can in the replays, and we watch some replays mostly. But yeah, but when I could watch some Gold Zone, I definitely put some Gold Zone on, and we definitely went back and watched the most like notable stuff, which we'll talk about a few of those in a moment here.
Yeah. I mean, there's also one type of ring count that I we didn't talk about that
Yeah.
we have to talk about because
Yes, it was a
ended
big
up
deal.
seven of them happening over the course of the Olympics.
Yeah.
And that is, of course, the proposal rings,
Yeah. Oh.
because seven different ladies were proposed to over the
Yeah.
course of the games.
I mean, what better time? Christy made a joke. Oh, by the way, so the side note, unrelated to the podcast. Christy has this idea that we're going to go now learn how to do archery for reals. There's a place near us that we are going to go to a training thing, anyways. Anyways, that's all to say that she joked around. She's like, "Yeah, the only way we'll get married is if we both win gold medals at the Olympics in archery."
You
I'm
know,
like, "See,
you say that, but there were people in the Olympics this year who only picked up the sport 3 years ago
that's
and end up
true."
winning gold.
I'm not going to bet money on myself, but
Anyways, let's talk about some of these Olympic moments, starting with
yes.
let's start with archery and those archery finals for
Yeah.
men's.
Whew.
In the final round, they both shot bullseyes 30 for 30, going to a shootout.
Yeah, that was crazy. You could have a 30 for 30 about it called 30 for 30.
Because that's what they did. Only for the US to miss it by 5 millimeters
Yeah.
gold.
Yeah, it was so close.
Yep. But before any of that started, at the beginning of these games, rugby was on my TV a lot.
Rugby.
And
A
I was
lot of
watching a
rugby.
lot of both men's rugby and women's rugby, specifically angry runs from the women's team.
Oh, yeah.
And women's US was able to get bronze out of it, which was great. And even the women's rugby gold medal match put hometown France against the heavily favored team from Fiji, who had never lost an Olympic rugby match
Yeah, it's crazy.
ever, and they ended up and France ended up winning. It was insane watching those games. We also had first time medals winner from the country of St. Lucia, who just happened to win the 100 meters for women's and have rightfully declared the fastest woman alive
Yeah.
for the first medal ever for a country. Insane.
Yeah.
Um, a name you'll be hearing a lot over the next coming Olympics, especially in swimming, is Leon Marchand,
Yep.
the new king of swimming. Although it's not really fair because he is currently training with the coach,
Yeah.
that coach Michael Phelps.
I mean, if you're going to get the best coach, that's the guy.
Well, besides Michael Phelps, but yeah, you want the guy who
Yeah.
coached Michael
He's not
Phelps.
a coach yet.
Technically, he is.
Well,
Coaches college.
you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. We had a exciting meltdown in golf where Tommy Fleetwood had a three-stroke lead going into the final round and lost to Scotty Scheffler, who had a -9 day on the final day,
Yeah.
meaning every other hole he birdied to win gold. There was also an insane judo mixed finals chaos that went down to sudden death and had to bring out the 70-kilogram fighters, the heavy guys, after they already went in a stalemated match 30 minutes prior to determine gold. Uh, and yeah, just complete and utter chaos for the French team, who ended up winning. Spoilers, but watch it. It's fun. You're cheering the entire time because France had to come back and win. It was insane.
Yeah.
Um, Gymnastics, Simone Biles crushing it,
Yeah, of
obviously.
course.
But then we also have the new Jordan Charles medal controversy happening.
Yeah.
Not that it would hinder the U.S. medal count, but rather her medals of bronze because she didn't uh, submit a
Oh.
request within the 1 minute time frame.
Yeah. I don't know. Seems made up is what I say.
Yeah, especially since this ruling came 5 days after the event occurred.
Right. It's fishy.
Yeah. And lastly, there's some.
I added this.
Oh yes, the the Olympic sport of breaking had a breakout star in ray gun, and it wasn't because she won gold.
Yeah, we talked briefly about breaking last week, but yes, breaking's breakout star ended up being someone who didn't even pass the qualifying round.
Yep,
So yeah, did you watch the ray gun performance?
I watched it live.
Yeah, I missed it live, unfortunately. But I watched the replay, and yeah, so if somehow you aren't aware, Ray Gunn is 36 and she is from Australia. She represented Australia in the women's breaking competition. Like I said, she was knocked out in the first round. Um, but yeah, it turns out she is a PhD. She is a lecturer who just so happens to focus on breakdancing and is fascinated with it and has done a lot of research in it, embedded herself in the breakdancing like I guess world in Australia since like the late 2000s. Like she's been embedded in this and just experiencing it. Is she good? No. No, she's not good. But is she passionate about it? And can you tell she's having fun? Yes.
And she can get a tattoo that says she was an Olympic athlete.
That's true. That's true. Not everybody can say that.
Yep.
So I say go easy on Raygun. I think she's fine. That's what I say.
Uh, yeah, I mean, it was entertaining to watch and
Yeah.
definitely got memes out of it. And speaking of
Yes.
memes, it's not written here because I just remember that it happened. The shooting finals
Yes.
and the hitman who stumbled his way into a silver medal.
Yeah.
Or
I
is
mean,
he a hitman?
since then, so he represented how are we pronouncing their country now? Turkey? Turkey?
Turkey.
Anyway, and yeah, didn't use any of the accoutrement that other competitors in the shooting use. No aim assists on the eyes, for example. Just went in there, held his pistol out, and shot amazingly accurately. And so he kind of became, yeah, like you said, kind of an internet darling for a little bit there. Since then, we've seen pictures of his cat at home. Very cute kitty. And we've also learned that apparently he likes Elon Musk and sent him a tweet. What are you gonna do? Nobody's perfect, but yeah, definitely one of the fun moments for sure.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I'd say these Olympics were very
Yeah,
fun to watch, very entertaining.
seems like a success ultimately. There's some Olympics that I think that go along completely forgotten. Looking at you, Tokyo. And then there's other
Oh, I was
Olympics
looking
that,
at Greece, but yeah, go
yeah,
on.
maybe Athens. Yeah, it's up there. But yeah, I
Rio's
think
a
this
little
will
bit warm
be,
too.
yeah, but I think this will be a memorable one. I think a lot of people will have good memories.
Mhm.
However, this is when we need to talk about the elephant in the room, especially if you live like where we live, which is
Yes.
the handoff to Los Angeles.
All right. So is now when we talk about international superstar stealing the Olympic flag? I feel like this is where we talk about
Yeah, this is where we
Mr.
talk about,
Scientologist himself
yes.
descending from the roof of the Olympic Stadium.
But before we get there, we have to talk about the other half of the closing ceremony. So yes, the closing ceremony happened. It was an opportunity for France to, put an end on their Olympics and then hand it over to Los Angeles for the 2028 Summer Olympics, which will be next. Again, technically, yes, the Winter Olympics happened first. We're not forgetting about the Winter Olympics. It's weird how this works. Anyways, but yeah, so first we had France kind of wrapping up their games. We had the
The
extinguishing
extinguishment
of the
of
flame,
the
and then we
flame.
had their little like play of
Celebration.
sorts that they
Athlete
did.
celebration.
Yeah.
Like a phoenix rising from the middle of the stadium.
Yeah.
A literal phoenix rose from the middle of the
Yeah.
stadium.
A lot of it was an ode to the fact that France was at least partially responsible for the resurrection of the modern Olympic Games.
Mhm.
The first modern Olympics took place in Paris. So it was kind of a full circle moment for Paris, and it was kind of cool to see them kind of honor that in their avant-garde kind of way. The mysterious individual from the opening ceremony showed up again as well, and you kind of had a repeat of some of those themes. But yes, this was all to do the handoff, which was, yeah, the crazy part. As you mentioned, Tom Cruise shows up. He descends from the top of the arena in which the ceremony took place. And like you said, absconds with the Olympic flag, jumps on his motorcycle, rides it into a carrier jet. The jet drops him off over Los Angeles.
No, no. The jet doesn't drop him off. He jumps out of
Yes, he
it.
jumps out of it. Yeah, gets into Los Angeles and then delivers the flag to LA and makes rings appear on the Hollywood sign.
Yes, he defaced the Hollywood sign to make
Yeah.
the O's into Olympic rings.
Just like BoJack Horseman before him. Yes.
Yes.
It's anyways.
Art, something about like art, life,
Yeah.
art imitations.
There's yeah, that's for like 15 people watching this. Anyways, yeah. So yeah, I'm and oh yeah, then the music happened. We went to Los Angeles, aka Long Beach, and showed a bunch of Los Angeles, Long Beach artists, including Snoop Dogg, and some actual Los Angeles artists such as Dr. Dre, who also showed up, and Billie Eilish and the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yes,
Yeah.
because you got to have the shirtless flea there,
So
and you got to play Californication or Danny California, whichever one they played.
they didn't, weirdly enough. They played Can't Stop.
Yeah,
I don't know. Here's the question now. Now that this is gonna happen, two questions, I guess. One question
answer.
is the next 4 years of our lives going to be miserable? And then after that is the 2 weeks in 2028 where we have to deal with all this shit also going to be miserable?
Well, five thoughts about it. All right. First thought. This is going to take place in SoFi Stadium.
Some of
They've
it.
already said that opening ceremonies are going to take place in
Yeah.
SoFi Stadium.
Yes.
But so just everything around that area and development wise, SoFi Stadium, the Intuit Arena,
Mhm.
and the Forum, which are all right next to each other. Just see how much in there.
Yep.
That place is going to be either uber developed all the way up and completely packed come 4 years.
Yeah.
That right
Yeah.
now, if you go to any game in either of those arenas, is a shit show.
Yeah.
And they got to break all that down. Not just that, but all the housing development around it as well.
It's
It's
a
going to be insane.
nightmare. It's a nightmare. Now, I want to note that they have said that the goal, I'm saying goal in huge quotes here,
Hmm.
is to make the Olympics fully public transportation powered. They want to eliminate car travel to Olympic events and only have public transportation options. First of all, that is insane, and there is no way that's going to happen.
Hey, Karen Bass, the mayor of LA, will make it happen if she's
Sec
reelected in 2 years.
yeah, the second thing is yes, you're right. It's going to be insane, more insane than LA already is to get around. But here's where it gets personal. There are events in Long Beach too,
Here's where it gets
blocks
very
away from me,
personal.
literally blocks away from me. Events such as sailing, water polo,
Yeah, that could be
and
outdoors.
other events will be happening. I have to park here on the street.
Yes, as an individual residence where games will be taking around. How does this make you feel? Do you feel for the people of Paris who just had to go through all this?
Yeah, I mean, it's bad enough, I'm sure. But yeah, I'm not ready. I'm not ready, and I won't be ready in 28. I don't so the other thing is, yeah, they said they're gonna you mentioned development. They have a lot of plans about like developing things over the next 4 years, including like local parks near me they're
Hmm.
gonna revitalize. And I'm like, oh boy. So yeah, it's just a lot. It's gonna be a lot, and I'm not looking forward to it, is what I will say. I'm
Yes,
glad
over the
everybody
next
who
four
watches it
years,
on TV is gonna have a blast.
over the next 4 years, there'll be a lot of development in and around the Los
Yeah.
Angeles and Orange County area. Not
Though
only
that
that,
said, the idea of being able to see some of these things by walking to these events,
mhm,
that's actually kind of cool. We do plan on seeing what events we can watch here, which will be fun.
I mean, yeah, I mean, in 5 years, we'll have someone awesome joining us to watch these events too.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
We'll all be inspired by these
Yeah.
Olympic athletes.
But yeah, if y'all want to stay with us to watch some water polo, the invite is extended.
Yes, but yeah, so five things. One, development over the next 4 years is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Two, actually, two B, um, traffic along the 5, 405, the 110, the five. If you thought the Californians on
Yeah.
SNL was a skit, it was hilarious of just naming all the freeways. You're going to know very well which freeway you're going to be on come four
Yeah.
years.
Oh, it's gonna be bad.
Uh, yep. Um, Three, with all that development, there are arenas already built in LA, which is
That's
makes
true.
it good in and around not just Los Angeles, but like I said, Orange County and subsequent areas, which makes it very weird that they're going to be going to Oklahoma to play
Yeah.
some of these Olympic games.
Yeah, this goes contrary to what they had said prior, which was that baseball and softball were going to be taking place split between Dodgers and Angel Stadium.
Yeah,
Why do you think that changed? Do you think there was something that the stadiums backed out?
I don't know if it's the stadiums backed out, but it's because the in Omaha, where this is going to take place,
Mhm.
the softball stadiums are already built out. They don't have to move any of the
Right.
dimensions in there. They don't have to erect shortened fences or anything like that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That they're going to use existing fields, which then makes you wonder why can't they just use the UCLA field?
You're
Which
right.
I will tell you why they can't use UCLA and USC and Kyle and all the other colleges fields around there. It's because that's where they're already going to be training. They're already be housing there. They're going to be using
Yeah.
those fields. They're
Well,
already accounted for.
to be fair, according to the venues, they are using the USC stuff. They
Training.
are going
Yes.
to use it for events.
But they're going
If
to use
you
the
go,
Memorial Stadium for track and
yeah,
field.
right. So yes. So still, they're still using it, but yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they're already accounted for. And yeah, unless you're going to have them like train in open air park these Olympic athletes, like you
Yeah.
need actual like facilities to house everyone. Um so yeah.
But yeah, we'll
Um
get there when we get there. But for now,
get
yeah,
there.
it just seems like a lot to deal with.
Yep.
Yep.
Fourth, they got shut down LAX for a day.
That's crazy.
Just like they shut down France International Airport for 2 days for the opening and closing ceremonies, they got to shut down LAX for a whole day because you cannot have planes flying over SoFi Stadium in the middle. Actually, that's what they do during like Rams games and any like concert venues. Anytime there's an event going on at SoFi Stadium, they literally have to divert airplane traffic around the stadium because you cannot have anything going over. So LAX probably gonna have to be shut down just in general, just like
Yeah.
France Airport, Charles de Gaulle Airport was shut down for the day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that brings us to point number five.
Yes.
This is going to take place 4 years from now. We will have an election cycle 4 years from now.
Yeah.
But before we get to that election cycle 4 years from now, we have to deal with the current election cycle
Yeah.
this year to determine who will be representing the US 4 years from now in
Yeah.
those games.
Crazy.
Not saying that's how
What?
you should determine who's the president of the United States. I'm just saying it might be a big deal if Karen Bass gets reelected, if a certain someone gets presidentially elected, that you may, and whoever's going to be the new head of the IOC elected, that you may see a very gender tone shift
Be
coming in the 2028 Olympics.
nice.
Would be fun to see.
Because if we know anything about this Olympics is that, man, people really get bent out of shape about gender.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's move on, shall
Yeah, it's not
we?
like something to punch about.
God.
But
Anyways, all right.
anyways, yeah. With 2028 coming, I know we're spending a lot of time on the Olympics, but that's
Yeah,
good. They only
but
come around every 4 years.
it's personal for us, I think, this time in a way that it's never been in, well, that it's been in our lifetimes technically, but we were too young to care.
Also,
It wasn't
it was
here.
in
And
Georgia, which is East
right.
Coast from
Yeah,
us.
I was 6 when Atlanta happened. I wasn't
Yes.
aware of what was happening. But
We
yeah,
just knew that was a big deal.
I was not alive the last time that the Olympics were in LA. So
Ooh, do we get a new Centennial Park then?
I don't know,
Just
maybe.
kidding.
All right, anyway. Let's move
Anyways,
on. Anything else in sports that we need to cover before we move on to television?
yes, we still need to talk about what's upcoming new sports that are coming
Yes.
to the Olympic Games. Because, like I said, gone will be breaking, but there'll be
Right.
other sports happening for the first time. Well, some for the first time and some reoccurring. We had mentioned baseball and softball will be
Yeah.
making their return to the Olympics,
Yes.
but we will also get flag football for the first time, squash for the first time,
Delicious.
lacrosse for the first time, cricket outside of the world stage here in the Olympics, US Olympics.
Jay's peculiar game.
No, not those crickets. And not Jiminy's either. And in lieu of horses in the modern pentathlon, there will instead be a American, I don't want to say American Ninja Warrior. I think that's what everyone like now associate with, but there was an original Ninja Warrior style obstacle course for this beforehand. But yeah, an American Ninja Warrior style obstacle racing in the modern pentathlon for the LA 28 Olympic Games,
Wow.
which I think is a lot more interesting to watch. These athletes who will do like modern pentathlon, which is like running and shooting and jumping and leaping, not to be confused with the current decathlon athletes, which are all the traditional games. They're the modern versions of them. So yeah, adding American Ninja Warrior style obstacle courses into it would be fun to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I know we're talking about Olympics, but don't worry, we will have a lot of time to wait. The opening ceremony is currently scheduled for July 14th of 2028 and will end on July 30th, 2028. If that seems really early, especially compared to these games and games that you know, you
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
not losing your mind. That is
Right.
correct. This
Whole
will be
week
the
earlier.
earliest they have started and the second earliest they've ever ended
Wow. Okay.
in the past like 50 years. Like, but enough, the earliest time it's ever been was in Paris in like 1928 or whatever, like 100 years. But yeah, it's currently being chaired by Casey Wasserman. Wasserman.
There you go.
I got there. So yeah, like I said, we now that we've talked all enough about the Olympics, we will shut about them for the next 4 years.
Yes, yes, we will. But other sports happened.
Uh, yeah, kind of. Just two brief little notes. In MLB, still the dog days of summer, still continue to happen. The MVP race is currently heating up. And you may think, well, are they just going to Shohei Ohtani? Well, not
Maybe not.
necessarily, because he's not pitching. And maybe not. Because Bobby Witt Jr. of the Kansas
Yeah,
City Royals is currently your batting leader, hitting a 347, and subsequently your hits leader with 164. However, Aaron Judge is also making his own contention as he is the home run leader at 42 home runs and subsequent RBI leader at 106 for
yeah.
the New York Yankees.
They've been both going off as of late, especially Bobby Witt, who is. I saw a graphic that somebody was comparing 2024 Bobby Witt Jr.'s stats to 2012 Mike Trout, and they almost line up identically.
Yep. That's why I
And
figured
he's
like we
not
should note
done.
this now. No, he's
Yeah, and
not done
Bobby Witt's
yet.
not done yet. That's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, the we're in August. The season goes through the end of September.
Yep.
Technically, no team has been eliminated from the playoffs yet,
No.
but I
Yeah.
do feel that does mean that those White Sox, even though they did eventually win a game just now,
Yeah.
are mathematically not eliminated from the
Right.
playoffs yet.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of divisions where things are a lot closer than anybody would have thought they would be, and so it's going to be fascinating to see. Like you got like the Padres and the Diamondbacks back like neck and neck right now. It's
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of fun teams to watch. A lot of fun
Yep.
teams to watch.
Just remember, only one team wins the division.
Yep.
Speaking of winning the division, let's go over to college because college football is 2 weeks out from kickoff. And as such, we got our first look at the AP poll. And for the second straight year, the Bulldogs of Georgia ranked number one going into the season. We'll see if they can pull off another national championship victory.
We'll see.
But hey, you're starting at number one. They ended at number one last year. Are they cursed to do it again? Who knows? They just got to play those games. And just a reminder that there is new realignment this year for college football. The Big Ten now
Yep.
hosts 18 schools. So just think of it as the 10, but there's a little line in the middle now, making it an 8. The ACC now has 17 schools, including two from the West Coast. So it's no longer the Atlantic Coast Conference, although there's some Pacific teams thrown in there. And the SEC and the Big 12 each have 16 teams. So this is what I mean by like with college football and Madden NFL football. Like you have 32 teams in Madden alone. Like it's capped because of the NFL. But here in college, on the four big conferences, we already have 40, 62 schools talking about
Yep.
63. So yeah, that's why I don't have the alliance for like playing out 63 schools where I have for 32. Yes, I know it's not that much bigger, but the thing you know is that you add the two schools from the Pac-12 that are still there into here, and then you have a 64 team bracket. They'll just deal with that,
Yeah.
which is what probably will end up being anyways. But they gotta like purposely realign each section to have 16 schools each. But hey, I'm not the NCAA. All right, I think that's all the sports stuff. I kind of talking that.
I was gonna
I
say you can
talked out
take a
here.
break. That was a lot. But yeah, it just goes to show you it's been a sporty month of July we're leaving behind and first half of August. A lot of sports happening. It'll slow down a little bit for until October, probably when things start heating up again.
Yeah, end of
So
September. Well, September is gonna have the
yeah,
start of NFL season.
right,
So yeah,
right,
about
September again.
3 weeks.
Okay, so look forward to that. In the meantime, let's stop talking about sports and move into television. Our television news today, unfortunately, is a sad one in case you continue to believe in whether there's a future that exists or not. Archived television streaming on the web. And I mean from the companies that provided those shows to you in the first place. Because
And not
in the
just streaming videos
yes,
either.
in the wake of the shutdown of Comedy Central's archives, Warner has another hit on their hit list, Cartoon Network. The Cartoon Network website has been shut down as of last week. The announcement came in the aftermath of Warner Brother Discovery announcing in their quarterly earnings report that they are taking a $9.1 billion write down on their legacy television unit. A current visit to the Cartoon Network website will read, looking for episodes of your favorite Cartoon Network shows? Check out what's available to stream on Max. Subscription required. In July 2024, Cartoon Network averaged 74,000 viewers during its broadcast day, ranking 43rd overall. As of now, the other websites, some of other websites, I should say, of other Warner Brother Discovery cable networks remain operational despite Cartoon Network being shut down. This year alone, the websites of Noggin, MTV News, CMT, Comedy Central, and Boomerang have either been completely shut down or had their media gutted. So this seems to be a widespread thing that Warner is doing here. Um, so yeah, back in the day, it used to be you could go to cartoonnetwork.com and you could access with a cable subscription full seasons of shows. If you wanted to catch up on a show, you could just watch it on cartoonnetwork.com. Gone. All of that is gone.
Any clips on Cartoon Network, past shows, gone.
Mm. Yeah.
Any Flash games on Cartoon Network, gone. Any blogs and forums on Cartoon Network, gone.
Yeah.
Just completely wiped and scrubbed with a single page telling you to go to Max
Yeah.
to stream on Max.
And it's important to
But
note, not everything is on Max.
yes,
So there's going to
as
be
we've
stuff
talked
that's going
about
to be,
here, like
yeah,
say Infinity Train, one of our favorites,
right.
not
Gone.
on Max, taken
Nowhere.
off, gone, nowhere to be seen.
So yeah, this is all happening parallel to rumors of Warner trying to prepare for a complete breakup of their stuff. Like there was talk about Zaslav just going, all right, well, let's cut this and sell off the pieces. Kind of like Disney in the 80s. That didn't happen, but almost happened. So yeah, who knows the future of something like Cartoon Network, something that a lot of people around our age hold very near and dear might just disappear. And because one guy needs to buy a new yacht.
Or one guy needs to figure out the bottom line.
It's I don't know, it sucks, but we'll just have to continue to watch it happen.
There's nothing that we can do except, you know, save what you can. This is why
Yeah.
we advocate heavily on the Media Bill podcast that
Yes.
physical media in all any and all forms will always be superior to streaming
Yep.
because when you buy it, you physically own it. They cannot take it
Yes.
away.
But here's the issue with Cartoon Network is that they never issued physical
No, they did
media for a
not.
lot of their shows. If there was a box set of all of Steven Universe, you know how many people would buy that in a millisecond? But they
Mhm.
don't offer it. It doesn't exist. And so that's the frustration here is that they have complete control over what you can see because they never released it physically, which means that if they just decide on a whim to write it off, it just becomes lost media. And that's sad. So, yeah. Anyway, that'll do it for television news. Do we have any thoughts besides the Olympics that we want to talk about?
Uh, no, but I will have more thoughts next week as I wrap up House of the Dragon.
Mhm.
I know I started to do that last week.
Yeah, it's okay.
I am 2 episodes shy.
You're
So
close.
House of the Dragon and the first half of the last season of The Umbrella Academy is up on Netflix now. I'm currently going through that. It's only 6 episodes or 5 episodes up on Netflix right now. I assume they're gonna have a second half, but I'm not sure because I haven't finished it yet.
Mm, yeah.
But yeah, I'll have my thoughts on the final season of The Umbrella Academy
All right.
probably next week.
Got it. All right. Then moving on then into the next section then. Cancellations and renewals.
What am I no longer watching?
Nothing canceled this week, but one renewal from Hulu. In case you're wondering what's going on at the Vanderpump Villa, it gets a second season.
Yeah, it does. Chaos ensues.
Oh man. I forgot that you're assimilated into the Vanderpump.
Yes, I need that 20 something drama. I need my model drama.
Anyway, next up, we do have one death we have to talk about real briefly. One near and dear to our hearts, unfortunately. Rachel Lillis, age 46, was a voice actor, prominently an anime voice actor, most famous for her roles in the original Pokemon series, the Kids WB for Kids dub specifically. She voiced the original Misty and Jessie from Team Rocket, and also the voice of Jigglypuff in that original run. Fun fact, also the voice of Jigglypuff in the original Super Smash Brothers.
Oh,
And maybe Melee? I think that seems like that would be likely.
yeah.
But yeah, so definitely that's not where her credits end though. If you're an anime aficionado, you also know her from other anime series. But most people in the US would probably recognize her voice from Misty. So yeah, 46 is young. She was battling cancer. And yeah,
Yeah, I would say 46 is super young. That means she would have had to have had that role at
yeah, in her 20s.
20?
Yeah. She was very, very young when she took that role. She was kind of amongst a bunch of other I believe Canadian-based voice actors that were in a lot of for kids produced productions at that era. So if you watch back a lot of some similar stuff from that like late 90s, early 2000s area, you're going to hear a lot of Rachel Lillis's voice.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a sad one for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we take that sadness and put it in a Pokeball and throw it away. And we move on to
I
the
thought we
movies.
put it in a GS ball and we never open it up.
And we never know what's in it. Just
We never know what's in it.
who
Never
knows?
gets opened. It's whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, I guess so. And as a kid, I always imagined it was Lugia and Ho-Oh. They were both in there somehow,
I
based
thought,
on nothing.
I thought it was going to be Celebi just because it was
Oh,
the third
sure.
one.
Yeah, Celebi. It could have been Celebi. Anyway, let's move on to the last segment of the show, which is movies. And we always start movies with the weekend box office numbers.
All
Oh
right.
boy.
What's the number one movie?
Your number one movie is still Deadpool and Wolverine with
Of
another
course it is.
$54 million. That's almost at 500 million domestic. That's sitting at right under at 494. By the way, it passed a billion worldwide.
Yep. So, R-rated movie
There,
can make $1 billion.
turns
I
out.
was worried there if it was ever going to happen.
They just had to put Wolverine in one of them to make it
Yes,
happen.
they had a huge jacked man in there.
Yeah. Following that, at number two is Blake Lively vehicle It Ends With Us with $50 million debut. That is shockingly good for a rom-com, and I think that is going to put a fire under studios' butts to make rom-coms again. I think that that's how big of a deal this is. It might sound small, but when you look at those numbers next to each other, that's a huge deal.
Especially when you consider that it almost topped Deadpool and Wolverine in its third
Right.
weekend
It's a
by
that's
$4
yeah,
million. dollars.
that's saying a lot.
Yep.
Number three, Twisters with another $15 million. That's at 222 million. Again, a knockout like performance from a movie like that.
Mhm.
However,
With all that goodness that we just said,
yes, if you're
there has to
wondering
be an
if there's a
equal and
movie missing,
opposite
yeah,
badness that comes with it.
there's maybe you're probably wondering at home, wait a minute, there was a movie that came out last week, right? That had the only big release date and had no competition, you would
Well,
think.
It Ends With Us was the competition.
Yeah, yeah, I guess it was, huh? Well, there was a loser in that battle, I guess you could say. Number
Hey,
four,
it's not a losing battle if one person doesn't even show up to the fight.
with only $8.8 million in its debut, with a budget of over 150. Borderlands failed to make anybody interested.
It failed to make the core audience of Borderlands interested in a
Uh,
movie about Borderlands.
it seems like it is really bad. Nobody cares about it. So yeah, it will only go down from here. It will be
Uh,
the biggest bomb of the year, which means everybody needs to apologize to Madam Web.
'Cause at least the Man Web got the memes behind it.
Yeah, believe it or not, I think Madam Web at the end of this year will end up being a respectable, like making a respectable amount of money compared to what Borderlands will make. which if
Oh
you had told me
no.
that at the beginning of the year, I would not have believed you. Let's show you the numbers don't lie. Then rounding out your top five in its like billionth week or whatever, Despicable Me 4 made another $8 million, 330 million domestic so far. So yes, your Borderlands debut only made $800,000 more than roughly than Despicable Me 4 did in its what, fourth, fifth weekend?
Six, something like that. Yeah, it's there
Six,
before. It was there
maybe.
before the French Olympics started. So
Oh boy. Yeah, that's bad. So yeah. But don't
yeah, because that
worry.
was a July release.
But don't worry, if you don't care about Borderlands, there's a new release this weekend. Alien colon Romulus. Yet another alien movie.
But
Sure?
a reset to the horror part of Alien and
Sure.
not the whatever the
Not,
prequels
yeah,
Prometheus
whatever
stuff was doing.
Prometheus started. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Like watching the previews for Alien Romulus, I'm interested in like how well it's going to do because it does feel like a true horror film
Mhm.
that the first Alien kind of was.
Yeah.
Low budget horror.
That could be okay. There's something to
Yeah.
that. All right. But
But
let's get
we'll
all of
see
that
what
out of the
Disney
way.
wants to do with that because
Exactly.
that's a
Let's
Disney
get out all
franchise.
the way because Disney has some other things up their sleeves. In fact, they had an entire expo dedicated to themselves, as they do every year, with D23. And we have a lot of announcements from D23 to rattle through here.
Yeah.
It
A
was
lot of
big. It
these
was a big
may
week.
sound familiar because we cover what, like when they announce
Yes.
stuff that's coming new.
Yes.
So a lot of
But
this
this is
may
all
sound familiar, but
right.
yeah, this is what they said
Bundled.
was new and upcoming. And we have
Yeah.
a person on the ground at these announcements who
Oh,
was
yes.
shocked and awed by all of these. And I had to remind her that, yeah, you're just not following the trades. We talked about these on the podcast.
But I mean, to be fair, even the stuff that had
Nobody, yes. Well, to be
previously
fair,
no, that's not what
yeah,
I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say even the stuff that they had previously announced, they showed more footage of and actually did
yes.
like proper like let's take a look at this, which is new. So there is new stuff with this stuff. So it's not like
Yeah, it
we already
wasn't
knew.
just a blurb, an announcement
Right.
that like we're covering because we're the people who read those kind of stuffs.
Exactly. We start with a franchise near and dear to our hearts here at the Media Boat Podcast with a new trailer for Moana 2. I
Media
watched this.
Boat
It was
podcast, film of the
yes.
year. I wanted to.
Yes. hmm yeah, I watched this new trailer. I think it's a good move that they show some indication that it's not just a retread of Moana 1. It gives you the premise of the movie, which is new, and some new footage of some stuff that doesn't just look like Moana again. So
Mhm.
I have my fingers crossed with this one. I still have my doubts that it can be as good because we know too much about the history of its development. But they're doing some interesting things with it potentially.
Yeah, we'll see what happens like when it comes out this year,
Yeah,
Thanksgiving weekend,
that's the big
uh,
Thanksgiving release.
which means it's going to get all those families out to the movie theater.
Yep.
It could be big.
Big egg. All
I
right,
mean,
next.
we were saying that about Inside Out 2, and that
Yeah,
ended up being $1 billion movie.
right.
So
Moana
Moana
2 could do it
2
again.
could do it again.
Yeah. Next up, they still love The Rock over at Disney, and Dwayne Johnson will be starring in something called Monster Jam.
Correct. Not to be confused with Monster Trucks, which was the
Right.
Nickelodeon movie from like
Yes.
6 years ago.
Yes.
This
What
is
is Monster
because
Jam?
about actual like the Monster Jam like
Okay.
trucks.
I wasn't sure if that's what this was, but okay.
Yeah, with starring Dwayne the Rock Johnson. I believe this one is live action and not animated, but they
Yeah.
did it
Okay.
because Dwayne Johnson came out for Moana 2 and then also announced this.
All right. Fair enough. Monster Jam. Next up, the Avatar heads in the world, the Navi heads, I don't know. We'll be happy to know
Yes,
that the third Avatar movie has a title, Avatar Fire and Ash.
which is an absolute fire of a title than what it was going to be beforehand, which is like the Seed Bearer or something like that.
Right, yeah. So
So
we're going out of the seas and into lava here.
correct. And we got our first look in images of the Fire Nation.
Sure.
And yes, I know what you're thinking when you hear Avatar and the Fire Nation.
Yeah, I'm confused now. Everything changed, I believe, after that happened.
Well, yes, this because of the third film in the franchise, everything will change. The hierarchy
Hmm.
of power is in motion.
Well,
Wait, no, Dwayne Johnson's in the other movie.
well, we'll see. Anyway, next up, this looks cute. A series called Win or Lose from Pixar will be coming to Disney Plus on December 6th.
Yep, we
Um,
were entering the Pixar corner here, and we knew this was coming. We finally got a date. This is about the what about the Little League team,
yeah,
and like everyone's a little different perspective on it. So lots of different art styles in this Disney Plus series.
yeah, I'll check that out. That sounds fun.
Mhm.
Next up in Disney Plus from Pixar, you have an Inside Out spinoff called Dreams, which will hit in 2025.
Yep, this will be about the Dream production
Yeah, the Dream
in
Production
Riley's head.
Studio.
Yep.
Right. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. Next up in Pixar updates, Elio still exists and will still be slated for 2025. It has not been taken down.
No, they did show a new trailer, which has not appeared online yet.
Right.
At least I haven't seen it online, but
I
they're still
haven't
saying
seen it.
that's coming out in 2025.
Okay. But they're not done after that. They also announced the next couple of, actually, yeah, few is accurate, Pixar projects in the hopper. First up, Hoppers, which will be their 2026, one of their 2026 releases about a beaver habitat. I believe a young girl can like her could transport her mind into the mind of a beaver.
Correct. Yes.
Yes, and John Hamm will be playing the villain in the film.
I want a lot of damn jokes in this movie.
Depends on the rating. Next up, we already knew Toy Story 5 was being developed at Pixar, but now we have some details about the plot. According to what they've told us, as well as some concept art shown of the film, it will deal with electronics such as iPads being favored by kids and a potentially malfunctioning Buzz Lightyear. Other note is this is doubles down on the confirmation we had before that Woody will be returning, which enrages me.
Yes, somehow Woody returned.
Yeah, okay. Here's the thing: is I went off with Christy about this because I don't get it. Like I just don't understand. If they want, here's the thing: if they wanted Woody to come back, all they had to do was have it take place between Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4. That's all you need to do. It's easy. There's a lot of time there that you can use to have everybody back. However, that's not what they're doing. And the reason why that's not what they're doing is because the concept art has Forky in it.
Hmm.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm that just so what? Are we just supposed to pretend that Toy Story 4 didn't happen? That entire emotional arc that Woody goes on and how the decision he makes at the end just doesn't mean anything anymore?
So here's how they're going to play it out. You could pay me my check in the mail, or you could call me Nostradamus. But here's how it's going to
Okay.
play
All
out.
right.
All right. So Toy Story 5 opens with Bonnie and the family going back to that county fair. Woody and Buzz, or Woody, knowing, like, knowing that the fair is in town, goes every day, hoping to see Bonnie and his friends. And he does. And then gets whisked away back home by accident
I still don't like it.
or on
Because
purpose. I don't know.
yeah,
Either
because
way,
that's
yeah,
the thing.
it's
Is
him going baiting back with the original game.
But this is the problem. In order for the emotional ending for Toy Story 4 to be as poignant as it was, it has to be permanent. I'm not kidding. That's not a joke. It has to be permanent because that's the whole point. If it's not permanent, then nothing changed. And that entire movie didn't matter.
Well, here's the other thing about the movie that makes it infuriating is that you have to get somehow Woody back, meaning that Woody is the leader of the group, even though at the end of Toy Story 3, we realized
Right.
that, hey, he doesn't have to be the leader of this
Yeah.
movie. In the end of Toy Story 4, he basically said, Jesse, you're now the leader here.
Right.
So is this mean that Jesse, don't want to read too much into this, being a female cowboy, has to go seek a man's help
I don't
to come
know.
back and deal with the problem that she can't solve?
I don't know. I'm just saying it's not that I have zero trust in these writers. It's just that I have less than 100% trust in these writers. I don't trust them to come up with an idea strong enough for me to not feel like they just retconned Toy Story 4. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, let's move on because I don't want to talk about it anymore. So
Let's talk
moving
about
on,
some like happy news then.
yeah, that hey, The Incredibles. Remember two? I vaguely remember two. Well, guess what? They're
There's a
making a
yacht in
three.
there. Yeah.
It's something in there. But yeah, there will be Incredibles 3. This was confirmed at D23, and none other than Brad Bird will return to at least develop it. No word on whether he will be director, but he will be involved in the production. So
Yeah.
there you
It
go.
is true that they did say developing and
Right.
not directing.
Because yeah,
Maybe
I
it's just
think
very early in the process that, hey,
it's probably
Brad
very
Bird,
early.
you've got an idea.
And
Let's try and
also
figure out what we can do with it.
also I imagine it's probably time for him to hand that off to somebody else. I think let somebody else take the reins. Um Sure, why not? I mean, two was fun. It was an enjoyable movie enough. I think it felt a little too close to the first one in a lot of places. I hope they do something different here, but I just don't know what that would be.
Mhm.
So we'll see. All right, moving out of Pixar and into the broader animation world of Disney. Frozen 3 still happening, and we got to see some concept art.
Just reminder, they're going to be developing Frozen 3 and Frozen 4 back to back.
Yes, yes, that is happening. Meanwhile, other Disney Renaissance classic. I don't know if they're officially calling it that, but that's how I kind of call it in my head. Zootopia will also be getting a sequel, which we knew about, but now we've learned that it won't just be the same people again. This will be a brand new story
Same
focusing
animals.
on, yeah, sorry, yes, animals, focusing on reptiles, including a snake voiced by Ke Huy Quan. Sure.
Yeah, he's everywhere in Disney now.
Yeah, why not? I think this is smart. I think that treating Zootopia as a world instead of like a universe to play around with instead of just two characters, especially one a police officer, is good to move away from. And
Mhm.
like I think that this is a good way to say, no, we can do this, but we don't have to be saddled with the baggage of Zootopia 1.
Yeah, actually, I think they're going to play with like using animal phrases. Like, oh, that guy's a snake.
Right.
Well, what does that mean in a world of animals?
Makes you think. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a huge potential issue with that as long as they don't fall into the obvious potholes there. As long as they're careful, I think this will be okay.
Yeah.
Right. Next up, we go to the world of Star Wars. Of course, there's always Star Wars at D23, and this year was no different. Star Wars Skeleton Crew is still happening on Disney Plus. It got a release date of December 3rd. And was there a new full trailer for
Yes,
it?
there's a full
Okay.
trailer that got released online as well.
I see people
Taking
are
the
mad about this.
It's a kid approach. It's Goonies in
Yeah.
space, people are calling it. Also, a very really lack of Jude Law in here. So we know he's a part of this, but we don't know in what capacity though.
One capacity, who knows? Next up, we saw a teaser trailer for the film The Mandalorian and Grogu, the film follow up to the Mandalorian series.
Hmm. That is still happening. That is two next year, 2025.
Okay. Moving from Star Wars to Marvel, big Marvel blowout. And this year, because we needed to have a pretty solid update because there had been radio silence about certain things.
Hmm.
We got more footage of the upcoming Captain America Brave New World, which, sure,
Yep. It's
seems
still coming
okay.
out, happening before Thunderbolts.
Yep. A new teaser for Fantastic Four, as well as I believe there were snippets of the Michael Giacchino score as well.
Correct. It was a teaser in which they used the concept footage. So just calm fears there. What you saw at
Yeah,
D23 was the concept footage that they shot for Fantastic Four, not an official trailer, not an
right.
official teaser. It was the concept footage that the directors had to put together to say, hey, this is how I'm going to shoot the movie. This is how we're going to have the interactions. This is how I am directing this film. And then they said to producers to get notes on their feedback and then be like, especially Kevin Feige, because he's controlling everything in this, like, okay, here's what I want to change it, update it, and then they go from there.
Right. Yep. So only a matter of time to see more of that because I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. Next up, the Daredevil franchise returned with Daredevil Born Again. Now, this is a series on Disney Plus.
This is the series with the original Netflix cast. They did show
Right.
a trailer, and it was bloody. They're not shying away from it, from the
Yeah.
action. They're taking the hard, mature rating and putting it on Disney Plus.
And then on the flip side of that tone, we have Agatha All Along, the series starring Catherine Hahn playing the Agatha character from the WandaVision series.
And yep, this is the
It's a
same trailer they
comedy
showed two
musical
weeks
fun
ago
time.
at
Yeah.
same trailer they showed at Comic-Con 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. But yeah, totally opposite of Daredevil. This is the fun one. This is comic. This has songs and yeah.
Yes,
So yeah. Anyway.
Aubrey Plaza.
And then lastly in the Marvel, Ironheart got a trailer. What is Ironheart?
This is the character who was introduced in Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever,
Still haven't
as
seen
the
it.
Iron Man
Got it. Okay.
or the Iron Woman. Uh,
Oh, Lady Iron Man. That's who this is. Okay.
yes,
Got it. That's all you had to say. Anyway, lastly, we have some little bits and pieces from just the rest, including some Disney Plus shows, including the return of Percy Jackson. The second book adaptation, The Sea of Monsters, is currently in production. I believe 2025 for that one. So
correct.
cool. That will be nice. And theater, because Disney still puts movies in theaters. Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan will be reprising their roles for Freakier Friday, a sequel to the 2004 Freaky Friday, and that will hit next year. Sure, why not?
Let's say still ahead. Jamie Lee Curtis is hot right now.
I guess so. Yeah, that is true. She's everywhere.
Yep, that
Lindsay
Oscar. She
Lohan
got that
less so.
Oscar bump.
Yeah, that's true. And probably will get another Emmy too. Um, before this happens. And we also saw some footage of the Lilo and Stitch live action film. Live action with an asterisk because, of course, Stitch is CG. That
Yes,
CG Stitch looks fine. I don't love it, but it exists.
people on the internet saying it's not a Sonic
No,
CG,
no, it's not
not
that
a
bad.
Sonic redo. It's not that bad.
Yeah, but it could be better.
Yes. Eh,
Like if they didn't do this at all, that could be better.
yeah.
Um, we had a new trailer for the production nightmare that has been the Snow White live action film. It continues to exist,
They continue to show footage of it and continue to say it will be good. Trust us.
but it continues to have Gal Gadot in it, and gross.
Yeah.
Gadot, Gadot. I never know how to
Godot.
pronounce that T.
Godot.
Gadot.
You don't pronounce the D,
Waiting
it's
for
Godot.
Gadot.
Yep.
Anyways, next up, some one bit of exciting news was, hey, that Tron movie's still happening. Tron Ares did get reconfirmed, and we had some first footage as well as confirmation that the soundtrack will be by none other than Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, aka Nine Inch Nails. I want to be specific here because it looks like they're crediting it to Nine Inch
Nine Inch
Nails, the
Nails.
band, not necessarily how they credit, say, The Social Network to Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. There's some
Mhm.
theories behind this. Some people pointed out that I guess they just launched their own company to kind of be a holding company for everything that they do. So it could be that. I'm more of the thought that it lines it up with the last time they revived Tron and they made a big deal that Daft Punk, the band, was doing the soundtrack. So I think it just neatly lines up with what they've done with Tron in the past to have Nine Inch Nails on the thing instead of their names.
I think so too, especially when they're going to put out the eventual album for it. That's just going to be a Nine Inch Nails album
Right. It makes
of
sense.
in Tron 4.
Just like how the Daft Punk soundtrack was just a Daft Punk record.
Yeah.
Anyway. And then lastly, Lion King Mufasa got an extended trailer. The
Still
lions
happening. That
smile
trailer's
now.
out.
The
The
lions smile
trailer's
now, and it's terrifying.
it's
I don't like it.
yes, you say that, but
I
Lion
don't.
King 2019 made $1 billion. Lion King Mufasa also currently on track to make $1 billion.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't
I don't
like
care if you like it. Disney likes
it.
billion-dollar films.
Anyway, that's it for D23
All
news.
right. We
Well,
talked so
yeah.
much. We're done. You know where to find us. You know where we're at.
You're
We're
like,
talked
no, I'm
out.
done. I can't do the
We're talked
outros.
out. Yes.
Twitter, Facebook, just search Media Boat Podcast. You know how to find us. Email us, mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com. There you go. We did it.
Yeah. All
Next
right.
week.
We're at.
See ya.
Hey, you remember how last week we talked about like a under hour podcast?
Well, we doubled it this week.
Yeah, we did. All right, bye.
All right, see you guys. Bye.